What's up, Jill?
Oh, nothing much.
We're
My
doing a
baby fits me like a flesh tuxedo. I'd like
yes
to sink her with
with
my
my
pink torpedo.
torpedo,
Big
big
bottom.
bottom. Yeah.
Yeah,
And as you can see, I am shredding. That is exactly me in the background.
yeah.
No, that is Nigel. Let me try to okay.
Tufnell.
Tufnell, yeah.
Yeah.
Guitarist extraordinaire. And
Yeah.
who do you
And I
have?
have I have the Lunts of Blaine, Ron and Sheila Albertson, from Waiting for Guffman. That's what Corky St. Clair refers them to, is the Lunts of Blaine. And yeah, they're in their matching track suits and they're doing
Yeah.
a nice little number, Midnight at the Oasis.
I love that so much. That movie, and just Fred Willard. I mean, when I first saw him, we weren't recording, but I'm just like, it's still like I still miss him. He's so funny.
I know.
And he's one of the he a scene stealer, I think, for those films. But there's a
They do
reason we
this
have
little
those.
warm up where they
Yes.
go like this and then they go like they do the
And they seem like they are super serious and plausible. Like these people do think that they are have this
this
talent.
is
So
every community theater in the history of the world. Like there are two people like this at every single community theater organization who are just like, so I knew these people growing up. They were in every production, they were cast in every possible role, and their range is not nearly as good as they think it is. So you're muted.
I am. I coughed. So I turned off my background because I have a haul. So before we get into all
See,
that stuff, it
man,
just arrived like 15 minutes ago, and it's a big box of movies, I would imagine. And sometimes, believe it or not, I order
what if it's a
stuff.
box of dildos?
Well, it's not, but if it were, I guess we would not record this. We were talking about Burn After Reading, and
Yeah. They
those things
just,
are expensive,
they
as you
are.
said.
They are.
So okay, I ordered something and it was a few months ago, but generally with I ordered it from Orbit. And so if I order from Orbit, usually it's either like super expensive to get from it's region B, so you have to,
Mhm.
also the shipping is a little iffy, or it's at a print. So so let's see. Okay. Floating Clouds, Mickey of
Okay.
Narsay. Well, okay. I guess we're giving a giveaway. I probably clicked it twice. I promise.
Yeah, or
I
maybe
was.
I need to get a copy of that, Aaron.
Yeah. Do you like Naruse? It's a good movie.
Oh,
Yeah. Ah, maybe my next trip. Okay. Yeah. This is
this
okay.
is
Yeah.
a third copy.
No, it's not. It's early summer, so this is an Ozu I
Okay.
haven't seen. So I
Okay.
yes, yeah. This is BFI, so that explains it. It's the former, not the latter. Um. Yeah. Three films by Ozu.
Nice.
So, Dragnet Girl, Record of a Tenement Gentleman, and a Hand in the Wind. I think I've seen the latter two, but I can't remember. Ozu has a lot of movies, as you know. And this one actually is relevant.
Oh, hello.
I know. I know.
I didn't know
That's
this existed.
so this might have been out of print. I don't know. This is BFI, but it's HDR, so yeah. In fact, I don't think there's a blue upgrade from Criterion, is there?
There is.
There is okay. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I
that's
have
right. I
it.
have it. Yeah, I do too. So anyway, that was my
Lovely.
haul. So we'll September we're gonna be getting into that. So let me
I
put
have no haul.
Nigel,
I
you are
no
Sans
haul.
Hall.
I am
I
Sans Hall. I did get that A24 um Stop Making Sense release,
yeah.
which cost way too much, but it's a beautiful presentation and So because I bought that, I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna not buy any for a little
I
bit.
think I think I had a coupon or something. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm but let me actually, so we're here to talk about our upcoming journeys. So let me close
Woo, woo, woo.
my emails. Oh, we got some new subs. Okay, so we have new journeys and well, do you want to talk about the free ones or the paid ones first? Or paid slash membership?
Yeah, let's just do that. That's fine.
Okay, well, that's the first one I opened. So in fact, the other one is no longer on our homepage. So okay, yeah, here we go. So I have both of those open. And we just finished Screwball Comedy, so you'll see that tab if you're looking carefully and trying to figure out, which you shouldn't do. You shouldn't look at what tabs I have open. But yeah, as you can see, we finished that. So so yeah, we'll go to the paid journeys. So you can see my background. That is the amazingly talented Nigel Tufnell from the band Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
And yeah, we programmed these what a couple weeks ago, and
Yeah.
there's a kind of a disclaimer because we these first off, it's fun to do this, and but we're gonna just keep these in our back pocket. And so, for example, we'll probably put one up when we swap out Cohen's for summer because so in fact, I think the first couple months are pretty safe.
Yeah.
As long as the films stay available, we could
Yeah,
never
so that
know
is
that.
the thing is that anytime we're programming this, and then this would be the same for programming at a theater or for a channel, is that availability changes. And so if we get into a situation where something goes out of print, is no longer available on streaming, I'm looking at you, Paramount, for removing
Hmm.
basically everything online. Then we will make some substitutions. And also I do want to say that these are the journeys that Aaron and I are
Right,
going to be
right.
guiding. We will have guides onboarded leading their own journeys throughout all of this that we're talking about. So
Exactly. These are
just
just
keep in mind, these are just the monthly journeys
mhm.
that Aaron and I put together.
And so when you click on plans, that these are what you see.
Right.
When you membership benefits, but yeah, and actually, we'll probably pretty soon we'll have more to share about that, but about other guides, but yeah, so yeah, until it's stale, we're gonna run with the Barbenheimer
We're
Circenheimer
doing
thing.
Heimer. We're going Heimer.
There's one that actually really is funny. So I think Circenheimer is funny. But so what we're doing here is we're doing Douglas Sirk, All That Heaven Allows. And if you didn't know, Werner Fassbinder, he did Ali Fear Eats the Soul in the 70s, which was kind of a remake for All That Heaven Allows. And then we're doing Todd Haynes' Far From Heaven, which is also kind of a remake. In
Right.
a way, it's kind of a
Or
remake of both.
yeah, we're
Yeah,
kind of a reimagining, I guess, would be a more apt. It's kind of like you've got, A Star Is Born and all the various versions. It's the
right,
bones are there, but the circumstances are a little different. The
right,
characters are a
yeah.
little different.
A- And
Yeah.
we also paired it with a comparable film. So we'll
Mhm.
have two Cirques for week one and two Fastbenders. Or if people want to go nuts, three. I mean, it's not tough to watch three movies, and these are all great movies. So optional. And then Todd Haynes, yeah. So Todd Haynes made film, these films or this film the way that Cirque really couldn't, and
Mhm.
Fassbender didn't. I think he could have. And then of course Carol, which I'm really looking forward to revisiting Carol. It's been a while. Have you seen all of these, Jill, or some of these new to you?
I haven't seen any of the Fastbender, and I have not seen Carol actually, which is
Wow.
just awful. I know it's been
Oh,
on my
you're
list forever, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But I'm really, really excited to
it's
to
it's in the conversation for my best film of the millennium. And in fact, I
wow.
almost when we did modern classics, Carol
Mhm.
was in the mix for my submissions. So yeah, wow. Okay, well then hold that thought. This is going to be a really fun journey.
I'm gonna
Fassbender,
lose my Fastbender ingenuity.
Fassbingy, I don't know.
Fastbender, yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen all of them actually. Yeah, even the optional ones, but that's okay. They're great films, and I haven't seen them all of them in a while, actually. I think the only one I've seen twice. Oh no, I've seen all that Heaven Allows twice, and Ali Fear Eats the Soul twice, but I haven't seen these. Now we haven't checked streaming, so they might be VOD. I'm pretty sure they're available, but
Yeah.
you can't guess that. So okay, February 2025.
Yes.
You want to talk about it?
So I'm gonna take this one. So you know, Christopher Guest movies, they're one of my favorites. Waiting for Guffman is probably my top 5 comedies of all time. And so this past February, we did the Martin Reimerheimer, and let me say that again, Martin Reinerheimer.
It's
And
tough.
so we just decided, you know what, February is going to be for fun. And so Christopher Guest is where it's at. So we're going to start out with this Spinal Tap, which was not directed by Christopher Guest, but this is really kind of the beginning of that style of comedy that he's known for. And Rob Reiner is a big part of Christopher Guest's
Hmm.
career.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the films are Castle Rock, which is Reiner's production company. But what we're going to do Spinal Tap, and then um, Waiting for Guffman. But in between Spinal Tap and Waiting for Guffman, Christopher Guest was on SNL. And
Hmm.
there was this kind of period of time where, these characters were being developed. And then there was a hour-long comedy special on HBO called Don't Get Me Started as Billy Crystal. And the first half of this comedy special is directed in quotes by Marty DeBurgi, which is Rob Reiner's character, the director in Spinal Tap. And so we see all these odd characters. So Eugene Levy's in it, and you have Billy Crystal doing all of his impersonations, but you do get Christopher Guest in this kind of like proto Corky St. Clair, and that's this character named Chip Dementabella. So I'm really excited to show people this because it's the most bonkers thing I've ever seen. And then so that's kind of like early, and then his first movie,
The
Waiting for
skit.
Guffman, that he
Yeah.
directed. Yeah, and
Is it,
then
did
yeah,
I
go
miss
ahead.
some punctuation? Is this the same thing?
Chip Dementabella is the character. So I threw that in there, and
Okay.
I think I just didn't edit it, but I meant to say, don't get me started in parentheses, the introduction of the character Chip Dementabella. So
Okay.
yeah, so you guys are seeing like the raw draft here that
Yeah. It'll be edited 5 minutes after we're done recording.
I must have missed that when I looked over this. Um, and then chapter 2, we're gonna look at Best in Show and A Mighty Wind. I think probably Best in Show is the most commercially successful,
Yeah.
or the
Unless
most
you count
mainstream.
Spinal Tap, if that
Yeah,
counts.
not including Spinal Tap and not including like, movies that Christopher Guest was in, like The Princess Bride, for example. But
Hmm.
Best in Show, I think, is probably his most mainstream film in terms of appealing to a broad audience. And then A Mighty Wind also got a lot of attention, although not as much as Best in Show. And then the final one we're going to look at for your consideration and Mascots. And I really debated putting Mascots on here because I wasn't 100% crazy about it. But there are some good things about it, and we do see the resurgence without spoiling anything. There is a character that shows up that we're all familiar with.
Nice.
So I'm really, really, really looking forward to diving into these, and I'm hoping we've got some people who haven't seen some of
Yeah,
these.
I think there's a chance now. I have a feeling Spinal Tap and Best in Show will be pretty well. Probably will have some newbies to Waiting for Guffman, and they're
I
in for a
hope.
treat. A
I
Mighty Wind
hope. And
too.
it's,
Yeah,
yeah, and the thing about it was Spinal Tap, and I've seen Spinal Tap, probably 25, 30 times. I mean, I've
yeah,
seen it a lot.
same.
And which,
It's
by the
yeah.
way, that was one of Robert Osborne's favorite movies,
Oh, yeah.
and Waiting for Guffman too. But the watching Spinal Tap, watching Waiting for Guffman, and I guess Best in Show too, there's the more times you watch it, the funnier it gets.
Yeah,
Because
exactly. Yeah.
some of these movies, they're not quite like Robert Altman-esque, but there is a lot of like dialogue, and like a lot of it seems like throwaway dialogue, but and everything's improv. So
Hmm.
there's these little funny lines that you miss on the first viewing that when you hear it, it's just every time I watch it,
You're right.
there's something funny,
Or
funny about
it
it that I
hits
have
you
never
different or
noticed.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and it just dawned on me. So we just talked about Hail Caesar by the Coen brothers yesterday. And
Mhm.
I think that everybody agreed that it was probably better than it was received at the time, but still
Mhm.
not up there with their best films. But
Right.
because we're film people, we were able to dig in and have a lot of fun with the content. And it just on me for your consideration will be right around award season. So
Right. And that
we'll
one is
probably have some.
actually a surprisingly good movie.
I think so too.
Um,
I think
I
it's
think,
another one where rewatches help.
yeah,
But
it's just, and it's one of those things where Catherine O'Hara, she's in all of these movies except for Spinal Tap. And, you know, she
she's great.
she is so good and for your consideration. And the whole point of the movie is like who's gonna get nominated for an Oscar. And at
Hmm.
the same time that this movie comes out, there was all the commotion about Catherine O'Hara getting nominated for an Oscar. So it was like this inception, kind of like,
Was it
you
Breakfast
know,
for Purim or Home for
it
Purim or
was it was Home for Purim,
yeah,
but but then they changed the name of it to not sound so Jewish.
that's
I
right.
think it
That's
was
right.
Home for Purim, but then they changed it to like Home for the Holidays or something. I can't
Yeah.
remember, but
It
like,
was an Oscar baity. You could see the studio.
yeah.
Yeah. So
And so and then everybody was gobbling it up. Like when it came out, it actually you could see everything that was happening in the movie was happening in real life. And
that's funny.
it's a perfect satire on the and I love this movie because everybody knows how I feel about award season.
Hmm.
And this movie lampoons it brilliantly.
It
So
does, and we'll see what the rest of the year holds. But I'm hearing that so far this may kind of be like a lukewarm Oscar season. I
yeah.
think Dune 2 is going to be a major contender for technical awards, but we'll see about the rest. So yeah,
And
that
the other
might
thing
be a
about this,
better,
Aaron, is that
yeah,
there is another Spinal Tap movie coming out. They are filming it.
that's right. Yeah.
Now I don't know when. I would imagine that maybe it would come out next year. Um, who knows if it'll be good or not, because they have done other things like Break Like the Wind and
Yeah,
but
right.
they are making another movie. It is supposed to come out soon, and so maybe we'll have more details on that and we can kind of, you know, prep for that sequel.
Yeah, and there you'll see a couple of these we're not ready to program or announce unless we're in fact let's that's a good transition to
Yeah.
Japanese Samurai. So there's a brand new Seven Samurai restoration out in 4K. There's a poster and everything. It's touring. So that's really unpredictable about how when that will come out. And I don't know if they've already announced September, I believe, or was it
Mhm.
October? I think is the
Uh,
latest they've announced.
yeah,
So
that seems right.
Novembers are usually pretty big. Usually you'll get a big title from Criterion. So hopefully Seven Samurai. Now, if it's not November, it's probably not going to be till summer. And so we'll then have to think. Well, we might bring in something else, or and as you see, we did think about pairing Yojimbo and Sanjiro instead. But what I really, and this was not intentional, so we're doing the Samurai trilogy for the first chapter, and that'll be fun because there's some history there as well, and
Mhm.
that's also a rare classic color and very very beautiful color
Right.
film. But it's also Toshiro Mifune, and then Seven Samurai we have Mifune and
Nakadai.
Nakadai, and then for week three or chapter
We have
three
Nakadai.
Nakadai. So there's going to be a handoff. So that was totally unintentional, but I think it works out. Even if we do, well, Yojimbo Sanjuro Nakadai was not in there, so that kind of ruins that. But and also Seven
Wait,
Samurai
wasn't Nakadai in Yojimbo?
was he? Okay, well then maybe we'll put
Uh,
San.
don't put me,
Yeah,
I'm doing a in real time lookup. I may
and
be wrong about that.
if anybody knows about Seven Samurai and wants to whisper it to us, we won't tell a soul.
Hey,
We kept
Nakadai
secrets.
is in Yojimbo.
All right. Okay. Well, there you go. All right. So anyway, we'll see. We have that for March. I think that would be a good month for Japanese samurai, but and that's a spin-off, I guess, or it came
And
from our
Nakadai's in
Japanese.
Sanjuro too.
Perfect. All right.
So look
Well,
at that. It
look at
just
that.
it works out. Look at that.
Works out perfectly. Yeah. And then, oh, I guess I should talk about this. So French films. So yeah, I guess if we learn, say, Seven Samurai is coming out in March or February, it's possible because that's when flash sales are for Criterion. But we are finally going to do French films, and so I have to cough 1 second. Sorry about that. I muted, so I won't have to edit. Nobody wants to hear the cough. But so we have this is kind of be going to be like we did Japanese films. It'll be a sampler. And so 1930s poetic realism. We have Lady Killer, which is actually coming out next month for the first time. And that's on my top 10 list of all time. So it's one that probably many people haven't seen. And but it has Jean Gabin. So it's gonna so what well, I guess if we do Grand Illusion, um, we haven't decided because Rules of the Game has a 4K. Grand Illusion
Mhm.
doesn't, at least not here. Really flip a coin, but we want to do a big Renoir. And then we French New Wave, there's so much to choose from. So we went with a Truffaut and a Varda, and the Truffaut is probably one falls a little under the radar. And then the Clio from 5 to 7 is arguably the biggest film of Varda's, maybe. I think that's a lot of people's favorite film of Varda's. And then I have a feeling I'll nix or will nix Pauline at the Beach because we're already doing Romer in summer, but La
Mhm.
Ceremonie is Chabrol, and that has that Natalie Bay, I believe, is in that, and also why the name's escaping me. Oh, Isabelle Huppert.
Oh.
She's in that, and that's kind of a suspenseful film. So yeah, 80s and 90s French films. Um, that probably the further out, the more subject to change. If like Day for Night comes back in print, I think we'd have to work that in. So I'll
Mhm.
ask, have I'm sure you've seen some of these, but
Yeah, I've seen Grand Illusion and Rules of the Game. I've seen Cleo from 5 to 7, but not the others. So
okay.
that'll
You,
be that'll be good.
you might not lose your Romerity. If and we might, yeah, if we bounce this. I think we were just thinking of French films. So yeah, any 80s or 90s French films, if you want to suggest, feel free to throw that in. Okay, here's where the joke pays
Okay.
off. Why don't you take this one?
This is the Frankenheimer, and this is where it just works. It
It
works
just works.
100%. But I've been thinking a lot about Frankenheimer is one of my favorite directors, and I've wanted to do something. I've wanted to do the Paranoia trilogy. Look, it's not like an original thing here. I mean, people pair these three films together all the
Of
time.
course.
But that doesn't mean that's not a great idea and that I don't want to talk about it. So the chapter one is a lot. I mean, it's three films, but the way that we'll spread this out is we'll make sure that people have plenty of time
Yeah.
to, and the reason why we did this, and these are three very heavy films, three
Hmm.
very, um, long films. But I think watching them together, which I have done,
Yes.
I've watched them on their own, I have watched them together, and I think that it's an experience that I think any film person should have.
Mhm.
So that's what we're doing. And so we have them in release order. And there's so much good stuff that we're going to dig into here. what was going on politically at the time and how that ties into everything. And I think the discussions will be really, really great. If we get feedback that that maybe is too much, we could possibly split it up over 2 calls.
Yep.
But I think it'll still remain as one chapter. And then if we have to have an overflow call, that's something I've been thinking about. So this is,
We'll see.
something we can kind of hash out.
I have a
Chapter
feeling people will
two,
be game for it though. I've
yeah,
seen
I think
all
so.
three and
Yeah, I
separately,
think
and
so. And they
it's
do
exciting
it.
to, yeah.
Yeah, and Aaron and I did kind of go over this, like tried to figure out how to program it. And the only way it made sense was to have it all in one call because there's so
Right,
much
right.
and the way we present it, we may present it a little differently where we don't break it up by film. We may just dive
Hmm.
into all three at once. But then we're gonna do the train and Ronin,
Yeah,
which
a little bit of a
I
cheat, but
yeah,
it
just
works.
slight. It
It's
works.
transportation Frankenheimer, but the
This
Frankenheimer
is
has some misses.
Transpenheimer. And
Transpenheimer.
then we're doing kind of the 70s paranoia thriller heist
Yeah,
and with Black Sunday and 52 pickup. So
yeah.
we definitely cheated with that second chapter, but just, work with us here, people.
We really wanted to get the train in. We think
Yeah.
that's worthwhile. So I've seen all these, but
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing them again. And I agree, seeing those. It's kind of like the Samurai trilogy. So we'll
Right.
also work with time there to make it easy for people. But you kind
Right.
of can't just watch Samurai trilogy part one and talk about it. It's
That's right.
really is. It's kind of like the Human Condition, which I don't think you've seen yet, but that's a
Mhm.
that well also that's 10 hours. So right,
Right.
well we have more. So yeah, we want to do I Think You Should Leave. We are big
Yes.
fans. I don't know about your household, but my household basically, there's a thing I think you should leave quote maybe every hour or two. That's how much we love it.
It's a
Um,
lot. We say it a lot in this house, along with a lot of Guffman quotes.
yeah,
So those happen and the jerk. But we are waiting for a season 4, hopefully. But I think the idea that Aaron and I had was to maybe go through some of our favorite sketches.
hmm.
There's a lot but we would like to time it for any kind of a release for a season 4, but that's not been announced. So we'll have
Ideally.
to
Well,
see.
I think it's been announced, but we don't know yet about filming but I think it's
Okay.
been greenlit, I guess is probably the phrase. We of course we want to do Pal and Pressburger. We're both massive fans. I
Yes.
think that's probably among my favorite well, definitely in English filmmaking duos,
Yes.
which is not very common, but
Not it's a
um,
highly niche category there, Aaron.
I'm just
Man,
going to
for
go with
British, they are the
English.
best British uh filmmaking duo ever,
Well,
who
and
also made beautiful Technicolor films. What a
yes.
wow.
Yes, but we're waiting for I Know Where I'm Going, which is not Technicolor, but we feel like
Mhm.
we can't really cover them without that movie. I mean, it's beautiful, but it is not the same kind of Technicolor. So I guess you could argue that it could be separated, but it's just too good of a film that I think you need to watch
I've
those.
seen it on nitrate
Have you? Wow.
and it changed my life.
Yeah, it's a
So,
special film. Special film.
yeah,
I saw some Twitter activity today, and I don't know what that means. So, crossing my fingers. Again, if anybody knows, we don't tell. We've had lots of secrets before.
that's right.
Tell,
Let us know. Clue
let
us
us know.
in.
So that's all. And of course, this is a long way. Frankly, I Think You Should Leave could be February 2026, but we're not ready to program that just yet. Want to make sure we're still alive in 2026. So,
That's right.
on
That's
that
right.
dark note, let's get to the free stuff. So,
Yes.
here we called
Oh,
this.
and Aaron, let me back up. Just
Yeah.
anyone who's watching this, all of these journeys that we showed you for pay, these are included for paid
Mhm.
subscribers. Well, for Magic Hour subscribers, and then
Right, right.
for the monthly and annual, you get um access to. Uh, let's see, I think. X
Yeah,
amount
actually,
of
I have it
free
here.
journeys.
So
So
5, 2, and you
five,
still get one
2,
for free.
right.
And yeah, as we record this, we still have this lunch party. We were gonna just because of the our schedule of rolling stuff out, we were gonna have it expire here in a couple days, but we're going to make it extend it to July 15th, really for the holiday, because 4th of
Mhm.
July. August? Should we extend it to August? No.
August.
But yeah, and I don't there's so much in the magic hour because you get not just all of these going forward for the while you're subscribed, but you also get all of the old ones too. So you get
Right.
really everything. I have a feeling that price won't stay the same, but I also know that especially, in July with everybody has a sale that
Yeah.
it's tough. So if you're not certain, feel free to jump in with one of these and yeah, I think just the 5 journeys per year. I'm can't think of many people that wouldn't find 5 that are interesting of what we have coming up
Right.
next year. But to that point, we don't want to make this just for paid subscribers. So
Right.
these are for free subscribers. These will, yeah, they'll be public, and in fact, you'll get an idea. Oh yeah, I have to remove that the podcast, but and yeah, and just a reminder, we did an interview with Ryan Verrill over at Disconnected, which
Mhm.
I thought went really well, and we
It
had
was
a lot to
awesome.
say. It was awesome. Thank you, Ryan. But if anybody has questions, I hate to say watch this hour and 15-minute video, but I think that most people that watch it will get it and get what we're trying to do here. So if you're not certain, I would watch that. So anyway, but we are going to have free journeys. So there currently is a community group here, and so we're going to use this a little more. Now, one thing a big one we're going to do is we're going to do award season 2025. Oh, yeah. So I talked about Barbenheimer and award season. Actually, let me let me get to unwrap the plastic. We're going to unroll these gradually. So the next one
Mhm.
will be unwrap the plastic. And so, do you want to take this?
Yeah. So Aaron and I, we've always kind of talked about, well, I think, I have a collector mentality, probably less so than Aaron does, but I do, it depends on what it is. I mean, if it's Frederick March movies, I'm getting all of them.
Right.
But I think a lot of cinephiles, we collect physical media because we know the value and the importance of actually owning these movies. And as we're seeing with all of these streaming platforms, it's on their whim, whether it's going to be available or not. And they tinker with movies, they edit things, all of that. So we are big proponents of physical media. And I think we're all guilty of buying discs and having them sit on the shelves in plastic. And I mean, I have DVDs on my shelf that are probably 12 plus years old that
Yeah.
are still in plastic, which makes me nervous because it's possible that there's like disc rot. But
Mm.
so the idea here is to actually like it's great that we're buying these discs and that we're supporting these labels so that they could keep putting these discs out, but like they don't mean anything if they're sitting on the shelf.
Yep.
So the idea is we need to open these up, we need to pop them in the players and watch. And that means movies that we know well. That means movies we've never seen. We've all done the blind buy. Um, and so this is kind of really it's a selfish thing. I know for me was that, okay, I need something to kind of like, you know, encourage me to watch the stuff that I buy, and also so that my husband will quit giving me dirty looks when another box of discs comes in. And so I think this is something really that a lot of us can relate to. And so we're kind of we're calling it a journey, but really it's just kind of an ongoing feature
Right.
on the website where whenever we kind of feel the need to do it. Aaron might pick a movie and I'll pick a movie, and we'll unwrap the plastic and watch it and discuss it. And hopefully all of you will join along.
And that's where the community part. So as we've unwrapped our toys, meaning this website, not our discs, we've
Yep.
found that there's lots of ways to use this website as a
Mhm.
community. And so we're going to use this community really as a celebration of physical media. And I guess you could call this like physical media corner. So
Yeah.
without going, we even talked about this today about how this will work, and I'm really excited about it. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'll just say without being specific that there's going to be a lot of coverage for the labels, boutique
Yes.
labels, studio labels as well. And also, even though we will pick discs and we'll talk about those, I'm sure we'll podcast, I'm sure we'll post about them, but also the community will also,
Absolutely.
we want, this is where like, sometimes hall posts, in groups get
Yep.
annoying to some
Yeah.
people, especially Barnes and Noble month in a Criterion group. There's going to be lots of them. This is where it's actually encouraged, celebrate what you're buying
Right.
and watch it. And so like Wages of Fear, I'll be watching this in
Well,
September.
and just because the two of us are doing this, I mean, we,
Mhm.
we'll have a forum for it, and you all could be unwrapping plastic on a Tuesday when,
Right?
like anytime. So the whole point of this, even though we're going to have these kind of like set podcasts or calls or however this is going to look, the idea is to constantly be discovering what
Exactly.
you're and rediscovering what you're buying. And for anyone not in the know, this is a play on the
Mhm.
pilot episode
Yeah.
of Twin Peaks, where
Pretty
Jack
dark.
Nance's character,
I don't
Phil
remember either.
Martell,
Yeah.
I think it's Phil, last name's Pete Martell, sorry. And he finds Laura Palmer's body on the beach wrapped in plastic, and he calls the sheriff's office and he says wrapped it. So this is where my mind goes, people.
I laugh,
So
but it's pretty yeah. So we're naming a series after the death of a young woman in her
death
prime.
of Laura Palmer.
Laura Palmer.
Um,
Firewalk with Me, you get that story, but yeah. We've unwrapped that plastic. Not hers, but the
not
plastic
hers, but
of the
I have
movie.
unwrapped that plastic.
Hers is not
there's a
real. Just
there's a lot of plastic, and
yes.
sometimes we unwrap it.
Yes. So on that note, there's lots of plastic in this world. The Graduate actually was right on about that, plastics.
That's right, plastics.
So yeah,
Oh, and I guess, should I take Buckenheimer too?
yeah, take Buckenheimer. Just one more thing. I
Yeah.
think we'll probably unwrap the plastic in July during summer
Yeah.
films. Um, Partly because that coincides with a lot of sales. Of course, the
Right.
Barnes Noble Criterion sale, but there's also other labels. Like frankly, I don't know how we can afford July,
Hey,
but
yeah, I
yeah,
think
that
a Kino sale was just
it
announced,
was.
which it's like every day is a Kino sale, but
There will be another one. I know,
there will be another one.
but Buchenheimer,
Um,
yeah. I was actually
yeah,
just looking for
so
books yesterday, and I was thinking
yeah,
about this.
Buckenheimer is we're just really rolling with the Heimer, but that's probably going to get another name.
Yeah.
But we will always, in our hearts, it'll be AKA Buckenheimer. And really, what this is about is, I know for me personally, and I know Aaron feels this way too, but um a big part of my, not to get cheesy, but my journey, like cinematic journey throughout, the entire time I've been a movie lover, part of that has been reading about the movies and reading about the actors and the directors and the studios. And I really think that to have a good grasp of cinema and like what was going on socially, politically at the time, about the studio system, about, you know, um, various directors' backgrounds, the ones that immigrated, or I think all of that adds to the films that we watch. And so I wanted to have a corner on the website dedicated to highlighting both old books that I find that are essential and new releases. And this was kind of a way for us to do that. And again, it's a journey in that we are using the platform here that we've built, but it's an ongoing journey. So it's not a journey as in we're not going to have necessarily journey calls and chat, all of that, but it will be a standing area where we can share. And that may be articles, reviews, videos, podcast episodes, recommended lists, discussions, basically where we can share all this. And there's constant, and this is also not just to read more and understand more about the films that we're watching, but it's also to support the authors and the
Right.
researchers, the historians, and especially these smaller presses that put these books out, the university presses, because this is such an important part of our cinematic history, is what's being
Definitely.
written
Yeah.
about it. And Aaron and I can't put these journeys together without books. This is key.
You're right.
So this is actually I think a fundamental cornerstone of Cine Journeys.
And I would say our guides too, our guides are going to have credibility, and
Absolutely.
they're not going to be Googling to give you this material. Yeah, and in fact, just yesterday I had an Audible credit, and I wanted to cancel Audible because I just can't I can't do an audiobook a month. But every now and then I re-up, and I was looking for something, and I wish I had something because it's so hard to find good books, good film books. A lot of times they're just obscured, but there's lots of them, on audio, or of course Dead Tree form as well, and of course Kindle as well. So all right, so all right, so next one is Cinema After Dark, and I
Cine
had
Journeys
to
After Dark.
Cinema Journeys After Dark, yeah, and I had to put the disclaimer: this is not Skinamax. So this is midnight movies, the kind of the late night movies that would play at midnight, and so mature cult cinema is what I called it. So that doesn't mean that there's
That
not going to be
also
something.
sounds like porn, Aaron.
Well, it also sounds like John Waters, so
It does. It
go watch Pink
does.
Flamingos and get back with me. I know you've seen
Yeah.
it, but
Oh
everybody
yeah.
else. Um, and so yeah, our goal is to replicate the midnight movie experience. Now it'll be 9 p.m., maybe even 8 p.m. We're not sure, but
Listen, people, we're old. So we're not doing, we're not going to do a midnight, but it will be in the spirit of the midnight movie.
in the
And also
spirit of,
think
yeah.
about and we may even get into like creature feature kind of stuff too. Like just kind of like kitschy, uh, cult,
Yeah, fun, sometimes B movies,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And
all of that.
actually, you mentioned
Camp, lots of
camp, that
camp.
for sure. Oh, there will be plenty of camp, but also the good communal experiences. So you mentioned Stop Making Sense. I think that would be a good candidate for
Oh yeah.
this, especially not everybody will have the A24, and like you said, it's expensive, but a lot of people will have access to that movie, and that would be a fun one to watch together. Music documentaries or music performance documentaries, you can kind of just you know enjoy that with friends. So
Yeah.
that'll be fun. Yeah, we're really excited about this, and yeah, maybe there's so much to choose from, but maybe once a month. We're not going to overwhelm people. We know people have lives and things to do, but we'll try to do it eventually, and we'll give plenty of notice so people can
Yeah.
schedule it if
And I
they really
just
want.
realized we're calling it Centuries After Hours. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. So, and I've got a really sweet logo that
Yeah.
I've worked on that I'm gonna reveal. So
One thing we've learned is I need to edit this as posts, so that's fine.
well, Aaron, I think we've had some things change too since,
We
I
have,
mean, and keep in mind that this is Aaron and I had projected out quite a bit,
Mhm.
and we've put a lot here and things change. And so y'all are just seeing how we make the sausage here.
This is
This is
exactly it,
behind
yeah.
the scenes.
And so, a nice segue from for your consideration. So this year we did award season 2024, and that was a lot of fun. I know you didn't participate as much, but it was very active. People were very into it, and you know they are awards. You know, art is it's subjective. And one thing we you know we're very protective of people judging people for what they've seen or what they like,
Right.
and I can say just from experience, our award season this year was nothing like that. Everybody was super respectful. You know,
Yeah.
Maestro got a lot of hate this year, and you know, and I'm not a fan, but it was defended, and I listened, and you know, I did find actually some merit in the film. You know, after hearing their arguments, and I still don't like it. I'm probably not going to watch it again, but I can appreciate some of it.
I love that it's basically like I absolutely think this is shit. I respect your opinion, but you're not going to change it, change mine. Thank you so much.
But
I
I don't.
disagree with you, but I respect your right to defend it.
Well, what's weird is so yeah, Maestro really was the punching bag, and there's always one or two, but some
Mhm.
people really did like it, and I can think of names off the top of my head of people I really admire and respect. So yeah, I know it sounds a little hypocritical, but it is true benevolent. And if they could have changed my mind. I mean, I don't close my mind shut when it comes to film.
But
You know,
it's
I'm
boring. It's boring if we all love and hate the same
exactly.
things. So, I think it's interesting, you know, to hear people's,
Hmm.
even on our recent journey calls, we've had people that have explained their reasons why they don't like something.
Hmm.
And, there's some like very reasonable disagreement and, good
And leave as
constructive
friends.
criticism,
Yeah.
and everybody's fine. Like nobody's feelings are hurt. I think the only time I ever got angry at someone, I actually ended up blocking someone online because they said that Cary Grant couldn't act and that he was wooden. And then to me, I
Yeah.
think that's indefensible. So I was basically like, get out of my life.
Yeah, that's where like, you know, we can say film is subjective and it is, but you know, we can say that objectively certain people had talent. And Cary Grant is
You could just say
sure.
I don't care for Cary Grant. He doesn't
Yeah,
resonate with
yeah.
me.
And I'm sure
Um,
there's lots of people
I
yeah, that
mean,
just don't like him.
I want to punch Eddie Redmayne in the face, but
I do too. A, a
but
lot of people do. That's we have that in common.
but
But if you don't want to punch Eddie Redmayne in the face, we will not
you're
judge you.
that's right. We won't judge. I may give you side eye, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to judge you.
I no Academy winner there. So yeah, speaking of which,
Oh God.
so we did this as a paid journey, but the thing is,
Mm.
it was such great conversations. We don't want to, you know, we don't want to have a barrier between people and enjoying those conversations. So it's going to be free. We're technically calling it guideless, and by this point, we think people will be accustomed to the journey tools enough to where
Right.
it won't really be a hassle. Right now, people are kind of learning how things work. In fact, just yesterday, somebody mentioned how, oh wow, that page is awesome. I could find everything in one place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be the case here, and I'm
And
sure that
and definitely like thanks to everybody for bearing with us while we built this out. And there has
yeah,
been a learning curve. I mean, I know for me, I'm still kind of learning how everything falls into place. And so, but the whole idea is that we have all of this sitting there waiting for you. So you're not having
mhm.
to hunt around for it.
Yeah,
So
you built your
it is
first,
good to hear. It's yeah, I know I built my first hub page sorta on my own. So
so you lost your journality.
I li-
Yeah,
I
but
did. I lost my
since you've done
virginity.
that, you can tell you can do anything with these. So
That's
so
right.
we're really proud of what we built, and we're going to use it to get the most enjoyment out of this. Now these are free, so they won't count against you know any free members
Right.
I guess, annual journeys. But memberships, the people with memberships still get extra perks just because, they're just able to access more. So it will be a little bit different experience for members versus, free, people in the community. I wouldn't let that be I wouldn't say that should be your reasoning for not joining us. You're gonna get a lot of value even as a free
Mhm.
subscriber, and we actually want you here. Yeah, more people go send the journeys. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's really all we got. Let's say goodbye to folks. We're gonna be
Yeah.
moving on to summer films and this little indie called Jaws with Bruce the Shark, and yeah, plenty more.